In this short episode, we're discussing Soho House. Is it a financially viable company or is it a financial train wreck? Continue listening to find out. Welcome to the Red to Black podcast with your hosts Warner and Mario, and today we're discussing Soho House. I've actually been to Soho House in Miami, and it's a great experience. There's a restaurant there called Ciccione's, which is an Italian restaurant, and I think they may have one in LA, unless it's gone bankrupt. And the thing about Soho House, which is really unique and cool, is they bring in designers to design this local experience using local textiles, artisans. They mimic sort of the local environment, and sometimes they kind of take it back to that 60s, that 50s vibe. The club was started in England and was designed for artists to have this really cool place where you could hang out, real trendy, real unique. It caters to this artist community. And as you know, as tech has grown, so has the artist community has grown. So when looking at this business, I like the brand because they have a wait list of about 10 to 20,000 members, and they continually bring people in the door. Now, their financial situation is a different story. Mario, would you like to talk a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I disagree with you, Warner. I think it's a horrible brand. And I'm going to use some numbers to describe why it's a horrible brand. I'm not saying it doesn't create good ambiance. I'm not saying it doesn't provide a wonderful experience for you, but as far as a business and a wonderful brand, it's horrible. They've raised over $600 million in investor capital before they went public, and they never made a dime. So $600 million was raised from outside investors, brought into the business. CEO says we'll be profitable in 2 years. Never made a dime. I got it there. They got some headwinds. They got some issues with the cerveza sickness. They go public. They raise another $420 million, still not profitable. They have $750 million in debt, and they're burning through $100 million a quarter. This is a horrible business. This destroys wealth. It doesn't create wealth. It doesn't pay back wealth. It doesn't buy back shares. It doesn't pay a dividend. It doesn't do acquisitions right. It just keeps piling on debt and more debt and more debt. And eventually, it's not going to be able to service the debt, and the banks own the business. It's a horrible brand.
So those are great points. And what it brings up for me is something that maybe could have been a blind spot for me in the past is a brand is not just outwardly focused. So, okay, you have your customers that they're really good at acquiring, and that in that portion, it's a decent brand. What you're talking about is a phenomenal brand is actually bringing trust and integrity and financial ability to everyone that's involved in it. So it's not just the customer facing side. It's also the investors. It's also the business model. It's also all the individuals that contribute to that hotel, all the workers, all the employees, all the producers of products that supply that hotel. What you're saying is, and I agree with you, a great brand is that holistic approach. It supports everyone, not just the consumer. It also supports the actual business owners, the employees, the people contributing to that business, selling products and services to that business. That's what I'm hearing from you, is that a great brand actually checks all those boxes. So what I'm also hearing you saying is it's like there's this facade. It's really good on the outside, but underneath it's crumbling because financially it's not there.
Well, Warner, it's acquiring customers, or it's giving customers a wonderful experience. It gave you a wonderful experience in Miami. Great. I'm happy for you. It's acquiring customers at a loss, meaning they can't accurately, or they can't either project how much it's going to cost them to run the business and charge the appropriate price, or they're underpricing their services, and they're getting these customers that might not like it at the right price. They're giving away this wonderful ambiance or this wonderful experience, but they're not charging the price that's associated with actually turning a profit. It's a bad business. It's being run horribly. It's acquiring customers at a loss every year. Every customer they're getting, they're having to serve them this wonderful experience at a loss. It's not a good business.
So for our listeners, those bring up some really good points. So from a standpoint, if you're a marketing or branding guy, you could use certain things from Soho House to build your brand. Here's what not to use. And Mario brings up a really good point. So from marketing, as I said, branding, creating the experience, they're really good at that. Now, what Mario's really pointing to, which is a really key thing that we don't understand in our society, is should that service really be offered at that price point? And I agree with Mario. it shouldn't be off of that price point if you can't make a profit, because all you're doing is raising money, and then you go public and you're shelling off or giving that non-money making entity to someone else to take care of. When in the get-go, from what you're saying, Mario, is that if that product or service was priced at the right level, they may have less clubs. Maybe they only have 4 clubs, but it's a real high-end service and they're making money, and maybe they don't need to go public. But I see what you're saying. It's kind of like this thing that we're all caught in as investors nowadays. Mario and I see it, but most people don't, is like, well, oh, they're a great service. They have this great idea. But people forget that if you don't make revenue off that idea, that's not a great idea at that price point. That's just a money losing operation that you're handing off to someone else to someday to quote unquote make money. I really see what you're saying, Mario. These are really, really fascinating points for our listeners. When you're looking at investing in businesses, this is why you want to invest in a business that makes money, because they've proven that product market fit actually provides value and someone's willing to overpay for that value. If someone's underpaying for that value, then you're kind of have this fake product market fit that you're going to go work out in the debt markets or the public markets. Really, really good points, Mario, that I didn't see before. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a soup kitchen. It's a charity for the 1% or the future 1% of our country or the world. It's a charity. They're running their business as a soup kitchen. They're giving away their product way less than it costs them to produce the product. That's unsustainable. At some point, it's unsustainable. You have to fix that, or you're going to go bankrupt. The banks are going to take the asset back from you, and that wipes out the $600 million they raised in the private market, and that destroys their stock value. So the 420 that evaporates. It all goes back to pay off the debt, which they're continually building debt. They're expanding that debt. That's 750 million in debt. It's expanding. It's unsustainable. The business is not able to charge an appropriate price to pay off debt and to pay back investors. And again, take care of the customer. The number one thing is to take care of your customer and to have the customer have a wonderful experience. But if you can't charge the appropriate price, you don't have a business. You have a charity.
Yeah, those are excellent points. And what that points to for our listeners is whether you're buying in, investing, or building your own business, the business model doesn't change. Those are just different levels. Investing in the business is going to be the easiest because you're just evaluating it and you're waiting and you're going to invest in it. Buying a business, it's already up and running and now you're going to run it, so that's going to take some work. Starting a business from scratch, like Mara and I are doing, that's the hardest thing to do because you're looking for product market fit and then you're scaling up to get to the point of where you would sell the business, right? So there's different levels. Now, what's important across all those levels, because it's all the same, no matter whether you start in the beginning, the middle, or the end, is your business model. And what I think is a challenge for most entrepreneurs and most business people nowadays, they're getting caught in this thing like, I'm going to make money someday, or this business is going to make money someday. No. Start making money now. Now, the only caveat to this is kind of what Mario and I are doing, where we're building a content business. You can afford, if you have other capital coming in, to run this business without losing any money, because all it is your time and efforts and labor. And we talked about this in a prior podcast, but if you're putting money on the table and you're bringing investors in, or you're putting a lot of your money in, you want to get to profitability as fast as possible. If not, just go start a landscaping business, start a drywall business. You'll make money from day one and then save that money and go invest in another business. So the whole purpose of this podcast is to really hammer into our minds and your minds, always start with the business model. If you don't have a business model, like Mario says, that makes money, you don't have a business.
Yeah, it's a bad business model. Under the underlying economics of the Soho House is a bad business model. If they don't sell the product today, they lose money. If you look at a beverage business, if they don't sell the product today, it just sits there. They don't have to maintain it. They don't have to clean it. They don't have to improve it. They don't have to landscape it. It just sits there. They sell it tomorrow for a profit. Soho House is constantly losing money if they're not selling their product. And right now they're selling it at a loss. Bad business.
Mario, excellent points. Opened my eyes to multiple things. And that's what's great about this podcast between me and Mario. We can always kind of bounce ideas off each other. This is the perfect example. Mario's talking about another podcast where you always want to do things with other people because they help you see your blind spots. Thank you for listening. We appreciate your time and efforts. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We invite you to get to know us by clicking on our LinkedIn profiles in the description of this video. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification for future updates, and share this content with your networks. Thank you for your valuable time and insights. We greatly appreciate it.